Let me check it. Okay, good. Yeah, what's trying to find it. It'll be it. All right, Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem, Ruach and double honors unto the elders and apostles of GMS Great Millstone, and the sincere Shalom to you, Akim, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. It's a GMS Las Vegas camp, and we just want to go in on this article from the RT. As you see, entitled the lesson, the third woe cometh quickly. Matter of fact, we can start with that first, bro. The article says a war with Russia would be unlike anything the U.S. and NATO have ever experienced. Hey, because we understand that according to prophecy, according to scriptures, hey, this last war was it, man. Understanding that the word woe meaneth destruction. So if you get that precept, third woe coming quickly. Kind of.
This is Revelation chapter 11, and we start at verse 13.
Kind of solid.
Okay, this is in the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the Most High of heaven.
Right, now we understand the verse above is talking about the elect being saved. It says they ascended into the cloud because the event that occurred that the scriptures speak about is that thermonuclear destruction, man, from the ICBM missiles. You know, as a matter of fact, can we grab Isaiah, what's that, 56, going into the missiles? It says the same hour there was a great earthquake, because the scriptures say when these missiles hit, it says that the earth shall move to and fro like a drunkard, man, because the effects of these missiles, all of them hitting at once. And because the scriptures also tell you, and we'll grab that as well, with these missiles hitting at once, it creates that basically that seismic shock, man. You know, and once these missiles hit, it's literally gonna shake the earth, man, because of the magnitude of the power. You know, the scriptures tell us that the spirit of the Heavenly Father is gonna be within these missiles because he has an indignation for this place, which is what a righteous anger, man. So go ahead, bro.
What verse was that?
We start Isaiah 56. This is verse. Let's see. Oh, it's Isaiah 56. I like it. Isaiah 65. Was it 65?
Is the name about the mountain?
It's like a waster.
Okay.
40, it may be 47. Isaiah 54 and 16. It's like it. Yeah.
This is Isaiah chapter 54, verse 16. It says, "Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire."
Hey, and the smith, the modern day smith, is what your scientist, man. Hey, and one of the scientists that actually created the thermonuclear missiles, the ICBMs, hey, his name is Abraham Esau, man. You know, so we understand that Yahweh Shema Shai played what the thought of creating this weapon in Esau's mind, ultimately for his destruction, man. You know, he's using it as a tool, you know, to try to one up himself because he believes this was going to bring him global dominance. But ultimately, Yahweh Shema Shai is allowing him to build this weapon in order for him to destroy himself. You know, keep going, bro.
It says, "And that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy."
Right, and that waster is that the missile, man. You know, the actual missile. That's the waster, because what is going to lay waste? Hey, the basically the environment. The scriptures talk about how it's going to dry up the rivers. You know, how it's going to be made a desolate wilderness, as the scriptures say. Before them is the Garden of Eden. After them, what? A desolate wilderness, man. The scriptures talk about after the thermonuclear destruction hit, that this land will be full of desert creatures, man. You know, he was grabbing something.
I was thinking about that quote by Einstein. He said, "If there's a war fought with nuclear missiles."
Oh yeah, kind of. And basically, we have to start back over at I know how it's going. So like,
yeah, continuing this.
Is that it, or was it more?
Yes, that's pretty much it.
Kind of. Then we can. I'll read the article, and you can find that quote. It says a war with Russia. This is from the RT by Scott Ritter. It says a war with Russia would be unlike anything the U.S. and NATO have ever experienced. And it was published February 4th. It says in a recent press conference held on the occasion of a visit to Moscow by Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke about continued NATO expansion and the potential consequences if Ukraine was to join the transatlantic alliance, which is NATO. Right? It says their NATO's main task is to contain the development of Russia. Right? Basically hinders Russia's military development. It says Putin said. You got the quote?
Sure.
How you bring up?
All right, this is a quote by Albert Einstein. He said, "I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones."
Hey, we understand. Hey, it's no World War IV, man. After this thermonuclear destruction, man, Esau's gonna be through, man. The next power to rise after that will be, Jacob. The scriptures say, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it." I got this quick brief. This is Revelation 11 and 14. Oh, you read that? Did we finish it?
I don't think we did.
All right, we could finish that. Yeah, 14.
Back to Revelation 11 and 14. You want me to start over?
Yeah, come.
It says, and the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly.
Yeah, the second world war is past, and the third world war is cometh quickly, man. And we see that prophecy is happening at an extremely quick rate, man. This is the year of the turn up, coined by the spirit of and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, which came out of through Apostle Tahar, So to get back on this article here, it says Ukraine is simply a tool to achieve this goal, and because we understand, going back to I believe it was World War II, the Warsaw Pact that was enacted, allowed Russia, Ukraine, and basically all those neighboring countries over there to build up a military alliance and to counteract, what was happening with NATO, man. So what happened is those nations eventually broke off, and really those are like Putin's cousins, man. So with them trying to align with NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, it's really a slap in the face. So Putin is through the spirit, because we understand everything is happening biblically through that Warsaw Pact, and those countries basically dismembering each other or basically being broken up. Putin is basically trying to get that USSR spirit back up on the earth, man. To create that super Russia Medes spirit, man.
And if I might add, bro, Russia, beginning with Putin, he really been moving smart. Like these past few years, it seemed like America's been bullying Russia and Russia been weak, but really he's been moving in a way to build up that army, so that when he do make that move, he'd be fully prepared. Like these whole sanctions, those sanctions America would put out, they're not really affecting Russia like that
at all. Because even speaking of what you're saying, the land back, with him basically declaring a ruble as the currency in which their gas is going to be flowing through. The rest of these countries, they have to acknowledge it, man. They actually have to do business with their ruble now, because we understand that Russia supplies a huge percentage of gas and petroleum onto these rest of these nations. Same reason why that Nord Stream 2 pipeline was going to be conducted or going to be constructed, Salakia, because it directly allowed gas from Russia, petroleum from Russia, directly into the European countries, man, which would have been great, really, if you look at it in terms of a geopolitical sense. Because what does that mean? That means gas would have become cheaper for all European countries, which in turn would have made gas cheaper for the countries surrounding it, man, including the Middle East. But we see now that as you were speaking, those sanctions, Russia's their interest, I believe, their debt has fallen. They've wiped out their debt, like clean wiped out their debt. And on top of that, what happens? The rest of these countries see grain production,
considered the breadbasket of the world.
Breadbasket of the world. Them in Ukraine, I believe they supply a third of the world's grain. It's either a third or a fifth, which is 22. It's like a 20 or 33%, which is a huge amount, man. Including, Ukraine supplying with the precious metals in order to build, whether it be iron ore, so forth and so on. So this just goes to show you, man, the position that Yahweh Shem Yahushua has Russia within the earth in order to, have this commerce. Their currency is backed by gold. America's is a debt-based economy, man. The dollar is really being broken up and being inflated while the ruble is gaining strength.
And that further proves the fall of this place too, because instead of doing what Russia is doing by backing their currency by gold, America's trying to back theirs by digital. They're trying to digitize their currency. So that's going even more further back.
That's right. They're giving their citizens soon UBIs, universal basic income, and like you said, everything is going into the ways of a technocracy, man. Which is really, we understand what that leads into. To get back on the article, it says Ukraine is simply a tool to achieve this goal. They could draw us into some kind of armed conflict and force their allies in Europe to impose the very tough sanctions that are being talked about in the U.S. today. Or they could draw Ukraine into NATO, set up strike weapon systems there, and encourage some people to resolve the issue of Donbass or Crimea by force, and still draw us into armed conflict. Let us imagine that Ukraine is a NATO member and is stuffed with weapons, and there are state-of-the-art missile systems just like in Poland and Romania. Who will stop it from unleashing operations in Crimea? Let us imagine that Ukraine is a NATO member and ventures such a combat operations. Do we have to fight with the NATO bloc? Has anyone thought about anything? Has anyone thought anything about it? It seems not. And so they're basically saying that in the way that Ukraine is being used as a pawn, with them joining NATO, it really damages the rest of its countries, man. I'm going down a little bit. Here it says, the reality is his strategy for return is a purely militarily one. It says in which Russia has been identified as a military adversary, and the accomplishments of which can only be achieved through NATO membership. And that's true, man, because Russia is a military adversary, which adversary, means they're against, everyone else. And now we can grab that. I believe you have one in, there's one in Jeremiah. You brought up another one, I believe, coming from the book of, was it Revelation 17?
Mm-hmm. It's Revelation 17 and you start around 16.
Yeah, kind of solid.
It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire.
God, can we grab Jeremiah 51 and 11 really quick? And now I'm going to get back into that. Because we understand that NATO and the EU represents, that B system. The 10 horns goes into the countries like France, Spain, Greece, Italy. But yeah, continue.
Jeremiah 51 and 11. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord Yahweh hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes.
Right. It says make bright the arrows. We understand that the prophets can only use, the verbiage, that they had within that time. So arrows isn't speaking of, physical arrows, bow and arrows. No, it's speaking of those thermonuclear missiles. And it said that the Yahweh is bringing back the spirit of the Medes. And the Medes are who? The Russians, man. The Russians. And the scripture just said in Revelation 17, that the 10 horns, because America's that whore that rideth upon the beast, and the scriptures tell us that they're gonna set fire upon her, man. Because those 7 heads go into like Germania Major, Germania Minor, and furthermore, man.
Continuing on, it says, the Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon.
For his device is against Babylon and to destroy her, man. Meaning what? Yahweh is putting the spirit on the Russians, to basically be the front runners, because they're both Edomites still, regardless. We're not, for Russia. We understand through prophecy that, that Russia is going to be basically the front runner that's directly against America. But we also understand all ye that been the bow shall shoot at her, man. So even America's alliances, they're going to shoot at her as well. That's it, the scriptures, man.
Me speaking as a man, bro. I can see Ukraine like folding and turning on America.
Yeah, because
too much pressure, bro.
And nobody really likes America, man. America is really, in cahoots with Israel, man. And everybody hates Israel, man. Okay, was it more?
It says, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare the ambushes. For the Lord Yahweh have both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness.
And it says that dwell upon many waters. Hey, because as you brought up, you want to grab that. You brought up the fact of unwalled villages. Before we started recording, because America doesn't have a true defense, man. The only defense that it has, is the space in between the waters or the oceans, surrounded, away from these other countries, man. Go ahead.
This is Ezekiel 38. I'm going to start at verse 1.
Mhm.
And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog in the land of Magog, and the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Jump down to verse 9, or just read straight to the point.
You can jump to 9.
Yeah. This is thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, and shalt be a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee.
Talking about the troops, man. Keep going.
Thus saith the Lord power, it shall also come to pass that at that time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought.
Hey, and what's that evil thought? Hey, because the evil thought goes into actually setting fire to this place, man. Hey, that evil thought was done upon or thought about in the time of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. When what Fat Boy and Little Man was dumped on them, man. But we understand that this time it's going to be even greater, man. Because it's talking about completely obliterating this place.
And this place gonna be obliviated. And that made me think too, like they already thinking about taking action on this place, but that evil thought is gonna be them actually acting on it.
Hey, and that correlates with Revelation 18 chapter. It talks about how the merchantmen are gonna wail because of her, because they understand that once America's destroyed, hey, their commerce is through. Because this place is it feeds, it's basically like a port for imports, because America doesn't make anything today, so it outsources everything, whether it be jobs, whether it be materials, all of everything that's really made is made in China, it's made in Taiwan, it's made in these foreign countries and brought here, man. So not having America be that place of a business, is going to mess them up. And on top of that, in current day, you haven't seen all nations shoot missiles upon a place, man. You haven't seen a country completely be wiped out. So that's going to be it's going to be new in a sense. Because last time that happened was that Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombing, and that was only 2 countries in which it happened. Now, of course, the radiation spread, but nevertheless, here the scriptures talk about how how the ICBMs are going to completely demolish it, man. How it's not going to leave an inch. How they shall not break their ranks. Everyone is going to hit their directed target, because every missile it has a global positioning system on it, man. It's coordinates, it's longitude and latitudes that it's going to hit. And it's not going to be like an Avengers movie where the nuclear defense systems, they go and hit them. They hit the missiles and they break them up, and it just dissipates into the air. No, man. The indignation of the Lord is within these missiles.
That's the spirit, man. And like you were saying, like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they was able to stand and still continue on, even though they was jacked up. But this place is gonna be stopped, bro. So we're gonna continue now. Ezekiel 38 and verse 12. I read 11 already.
You read it here.
It says, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land.
No, going into, as I said, the land of unwalled villages, back in the ancient days, a kingdom that was set up had a barrier. It had those walls in order for a defense. I believe that word also goes into garrison. I want to look that up really quick. This is garrison. Yeah, it's garrison. It says 13th century. It says a defense, a protection, safety, or security, right? It says to protect, to take care of, or defend, to guard, a fortified stronghold, which that's what the word garrison means. A body of troops in a fortress, a fortified stronghold, a body of armed men stationed in a fort or town to guard it, provision, munitions. Let's see if it's anything else. To place troops in. It's a lot. Yeah, a fortified military post, or a station. Let's see. But as the scriptures say, it's the land of unwalled villages. Because as we said before, you know that the for example, when you watch your movies or your shows, like if you watch Game of Thrones, if you watch The Last Kingdom, everybody has those huge walls. They may be 15 to 30 feet high, you know, which it basically keeps, you know, the inhabitants of the city within the borders, but it also allows, it doesn't allow, you know, foreign invaders or troops to get in, because what you have, that gate, you have the gate drawbridge, so to speak, and they have to access that they have to break down that door first in order to enter into that city, to siege it, so to speak, man. You know, and on top of that, you know, of course, you have your on top of that wall, you know, you have your viewpoints, you know, where your archers or your military men may be able to see further, you know. So America being the land of unwalled villages, as you said before, it's like America's the proudest, most what you say?
The proudest, most vulnerable nation.
Exactly, it's the most vulnerable as well, man. You know, because it's creating all these enemies. You know, in the I was gonna say the scripture, it's the same within the world. It says the enemy of my enemy is my friend. You know, all these different countries that hate America, well, it's other countries that hate them as well. So they're gonna team up with each other in order to bring this whole down. You had something that you wanted to bring out or to say? God, if not, I have a precept. We go to the book of Joel 2.
You want to read it?
Yeah, come.
Joel chapter 2, starting at the top. It says, "Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain."
Mm-hmm. Hey, and that's what we're doing through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Hey, the scriptures say, the prophets, was that Jeremiah 28:8? You know, I'm gonna grab that real quick. So this is Jeremiah 28. It says, the prophets that have been before me, and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war, of evil, and of pestilence. So you gotta read that again, bro. Joel 2.
All right. It says, "Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh cometh, for it is nigh at hand.
Yep.
A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations."
Correct. Now I want to go back into this article really quick, because it's a point that they touched on. It says the issue isn't just qualitative, but also quantitative. Talking about a numbers thing, because we understand that the arms race, of course, it's about, you know, the might within that warhead. You know, as Russia, as China always come up with these new hypersonic missiles. It breaks Mach 3, it breaks Mach 2. Satan, you got Satan 2, which is a missile of what's that, of China, or is that Korea? One of those.
That's Russia.
Yeah, Russia thought it. You know, Satan 2, you know, all these different missile enhancements. But they're saying it's qualitative, you know, dealing with the number of missiles. The scripture tells us in the book of Revelations that what is 20,000, 2,000, I believe that's how it goes. 200,000, man. Hey, which is a qualitative number, you know. Now we understand every missile isn't made the same, but nevertheless, it's saying it's quantitative here. It says the issue isn't just qualitative, talking about quality, but also quantitative. It says even if the U.S. military could stand toe-to-toe with Russian adversary, and Russian adversary isn't just talking about Russia, it's talking about Russia and every other nation as well, man. Because we just brought out that what? Yeah, all ye that been in the bow shall shoot at her, spare no arrows. So that means what? A quantitative, right? It says the issue, even if U.S. military could stand toe-to-toe with Russian adversary, which it can't, it simply lacks the size to survive any sustained battle or campaign. The low-intensity conflict that the U.S. military waged in Iraq and Afghanistan has created an organizational, ethos built around the idea that every American life is precious and that all efforts will be made to evacuate the wounded so that they can receive life-saving medical attention in as short a time frame as possible. This concept may have been viable where the U.S. was in control of the environment in which fights were conducted. It is, however, pure fiction and large-scale combined arms war. That's why the scripture calls this the virgin daughter of Babylon, man. Because what? It's never been foreign troops, invaded in full-scale war on this place, man. It's never been penetrated, so to speak. All war that America is conducted, is really done, through now, PS2 controllers, PS3 controllers, from military men or women in a base, shooting ICBMs, rockets to the Middle East and to all these different countries, man. It's a technological war. Nothing. I mean, you still have troops, ground troops and things like that, but the power comes from above, from these missiles being shot down onto these countries, man. What happens to Yemen, what's happening onto Iran. These are drone attacks. These are air, what you call air fights, air strikes, so forth and so on. Where they're bombing these hospitals, bombing these schools. And well, that hasn't taken place here in America. People try to bring up. I can't even say that. Our channel gets struck down, but people bring up 9/11. Hey, but we understand, the truth about that, man. It wasn't what the media told you it was, man. That was inside
business.
Exactly. Done by, this place, man. Hey, there go the strike right there. It's just gonna be over. Did you have something? It's more on this as well.
No, you
good. It says this concept may have been viable where the U.S. was in control of the environment in which fights were conducted. It is, however, pure fiction in large-scale combined arms warfare. There won't be medical evacuation, helicopters flying to the rescue. Even if they launch, they will be shot down. There won't be field ambulances. Even if they arrived on the scene, they would be destroyed in short order. There won't be field hospitals. Even if there were established, they would be captured by Russian mobile forces.
It's like there was a video that the elder Amawan Bar went into, and basically it was like a point of view of nuclear war and how the aftermath would be like. I gotta find that video, but they basically were saying like, man, this place would be basically cold, dark, and desolate for a very long time. The scriptures even speak about that.
Yep.
But they was putting a time limit on it. We understand that this place is never going to be inhabited again.
That's right. That's right.
Let's say they do. Let's say America do have the proper like missile defense system. Even if they do get they do meet in the air, that still will cause like major destruction to this place.
Okay. And on top of that, we understand that that's not about to happen,
right?
Because it's destined for this place to go down, man. So these missile defense. How many accounts and instances have there been where the chariots of Yahweh Shemashah have just drove past these military bases and shut down their nuclear defense systems? That happens all the time, man. So we always know that, or we know, that chariots is still gonna be here during the thermonuclear destruction, man. So for them to freeze their technology or to offset, different military launch codes and things like that, it's gonna happen, man.
But the only thing gonna be working is that horn, bro.
Yeah, going.
Let me go back to Joel.
It's a little bit more right here. It says, what there will be is death and destruction and lots of it. Hey, it's just the truth, man. Okay. It says one of the events which triggered McMaster's study of Russian warfare was the destruction of the Ukrainian Combined Arms Brigade by Russian artillery in early 2015. This, of course, would be the fate of any similar U.S. combat formation. The superiority Russia enjoys is in artillery. I can't even speak right now. So like the superiority Russia enjoys in artillery fires is overwhelming, both in terms of numbers of artillery systems fielded and the lethality of the munitions employed. Says while the U.S. Air Force may be able to mount a fight in the airspace above any battlefield, right? And that's true. Because nevertheless, we do understand that American military is a great one. America is number one in terms of military prowess and power in the world. But as we discussed before, Russia is number 2, China is number 3. Hey, you link up 2 and 3. And actually it was a video. And they were speaking on war. It was a Russian general. He said, yes, America has the power to destroy us 50 times over, but we have the power to destroy them once. And what he meant by that is, yeah, America could destroy us, but the thing is, all we need to do is destroy them once. America, one nuclear bomb over here is fucking everything up. Excuse my language, but it is. Why? Because America won't be able to recover after that. Allow it to hit a state like Texas, man. You know, that destroys a huge part of American economy. No rebuilding is going to happen. And on top of that, that radiation is still going to be dissipating throughout the rest of these states, man. You know, it's no recovery for America to take one bomb. On top of that, the minds of the American people aren't even ready for war. Russia has been gearing up the minds of their people, hey, like 5 years back, man. Putin put his what do you call it? His population, small, large. Well, I can't really remember the percent of population, but he put his population of people under in bunkers, man. You know, it's even articles saying that Putin's family is in bunkers right now. You know, and on top of that, he gave out gas masks some years back. He gave out nuclear war pamphlets. Hey, the American government ain't giving its citizens any of that. It's not even giving its citizens warning that war is going to be on the brink, man. Hey, really, we're in war now. You know, just the effects of it. You don't see any bloodshed yet. You know, but it starts with your things like the economy, and then it goes into the things like what your food system, man, your food supply. You know, so a war doesn't just affect soldiers, man, or people fighting. You know, it's on every level because war is expensive. You know, you have to they have to build up for war. They have to do certain programs in order to get money, to fund money and things like that. You know, the aircraft, the tanks, the gas included in these this war, the transportation, that's all a part of war.
Soldiers got to eat too.
Soldiers got to eat. So these are all different, you know, when you take a look at it in the micro level, man, you know, but in the macro level, you have the big things, food supply and rationing. You have petroleum industries being hit in the midst of war. You have the inflation rates rising in the midst of war. You know, you have all these different things that are going to affect the really the American people, and they're not realizing it, man. We always talk about famine. You know, we see the prices of food, you know, going up and up and up and up, but these people don't understand that the scarcity is coming. Hey, well, scarcities happened back in previous wars as well, because what they were stocking in order to feed the military, you know, or what else? They would halt the production of one specific produce in order to increase the production of, it may be of bullets, you know, it may be of military equipment such as MRAPs, it may be the production of guns may go up, you know, all these different factors are keys in actual war happening, man. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to read this article that you quoted. It says, it's via Daily Mail. It says, chilling footage shows how Russia has completed nuclear drill for 40 million people as Putin builds bomb shelters to protect Moscow's entire population.
And what is America doing? They telling you what? Your mind is focused on Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, man. You know, you're focused on sports.
Stimulus checks.
Yeah, you focus on reparations. You know, Jake, what's that in California? Talk about
if you can prove that your your lineage goes back to whatever they said.
Kind, you know, goes back
slave,
to,
I think.
Yeah, transatlantic slave trade or something to that extent. Hey, that's what Jake's mind is focused on, man. Russia's telling these people, hey, shit is about to get hard. Hey, we're gearing up for a world war. And America's telling you, hey, continue to watch this. You know, the American population is all on TikTok, you know, worried about doing dances. Russia's population is worried about thermonuclear destruction. You know, showing you the difference in the mind states as well. Continuing, it says, while the U.S. Air Force may be able to mount a fight, and we're going to go back to that Joel 2 as well, bro. It says, to mount a fight in the airspace above any battlefield, there will be nothing like the total air supremacy enjoyed by the American military in its operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. Because as we say, America's military is great. You know, it didn't just get to this place without, you know, having a powerful arm, so to speak, man. It says the airspace will be contested by a very capable Russian Air Force, and Russian ground troops will be operating under an air defense umbrella, the likes of which neither the U.S. nor NATO has ever faced. There will be no close air support cavalry coming to the rescue of the beleaguered American troops. The forces on the ground will be on their own. This feeling of isolation will be furthered by the reality that because of Russia's overwhelming superiority in electronic warfare capability, and to speak on that, things like what do you call it? EMPs. They call them EMPs, which are what your electromagnetic pulses. This is what they're touching on here. EMP goes off here because you have to remember the mind state. You have something called normalcy bias. Normalcy bias is basically the mind state that nothing bad can happen until it does.
Mm-hmm.
That mind state runs rampant here in America because you're distracted by the breads and circuses. You're not focused on really the reality of situations here. So in the terms of an EMP, right? We understand that allow a social media app like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter to be to go down for a day. People lose their mind, man. See, but that's them basically being dependent upon this system, and that's just in a technological aspect. That's not including, because we see the minds of the people when social media goes down. How much more when their lights go off?
That's not that social media thing wasn't even a necessity,
bro.
And it was tripping out.
People's losing their mind, bro.
Because everything is electric nowadays too.
Exactly, and that includes your gas pumps. Because it's run off a electric grid. So if you can't get your gas, if your electricity is completely shut off, you can't drive your cars. So that puts you in complete darkness. So you're stuck at that point. So what you're gonna bug out, man. But Putin is teaching his people and is leading his people that these things is gonna happen. Knowing something is gonna happen before gives you a better state of comfort when it comes, because you were warned. You were warned. It's better to know of something before instead of it catching you completely off guard, man. That's why prophecy is so important, because what it means to say before. If you're saying it before it happens, then that means what you're mentally preparing for the event to happen before it does. And
it's not. I was gonna say, the Lord said, before they spring forth, I'll tell you.
Exactly.
That's why this place is considered the place that dwelleth carelessly.
It says the feeling of isolation will be furthered by the reality that, because of Russia's overwhelming superiority in electronic warfare capability, the U.S. forces on the ground will be deaf, dumb, and blind to what is happening around them, unable to communicate, receive intelligence, and even operate, as radios, electronic systems, and weapons cease to function. And that's including those missile defense systems, right? So any war with Russia would find American forces slaughtered in numbers. Now we understand Russia's numbers, will be slaughtered as well. But America can't take the amount of casualties, man. It says back in the 1980s, we routinely trained to accept losses of 30 to 40% and continue the fight. That means they're down to 60 or 70% capability, and they're still about it, man. Allow that to happen to American forces. It's abort the mission. It says because that was the reality of modern combat against the Soviet threat. Back then, we were able to effectively match the Soviets in terms of force size, structure, and capability. In short, we could give as good or better than we got. Let's see. Oh, right here it says, but even if the U.S. manages to win the odd tactical engagement against peer-level infantry, it simply has no counter to the overwhelming number of tanks and armored fighting vehicles Russia will bring to bear. Even if the anti-tank weapons in the possession of U.S. ground troops were effective against modern Russian tanks, American troops will simply be overwhelmed by the mass of combat strength the Russians will confront them with. We can go back into that Joel too. But one thing I want to speak on as well is in terms of military mindset, because we understand the Russian troops, a lot of them, or majority, I'll say, were born or raised to fight in the military. Here in America, that's false. You have a large number of women within the military, and women aren't ready for war, man. Even the men in this military, they're not ready. When you could look at these videos of the minds of the military, and they'll tell you, oh, what you in the military for? Majority of them ain't telling you, to fight for my country and to, I was born to do this. Majority of them, oh, we get college. We get free school.
Benefits, right?
That's it, the benefits. So that tells you they're not really in a warrior mentality, man.
So I always think about what that chick said, bro.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Nobody goes to the military thinking that they're going to go to war. And that, I mean, she's kind of telling the truth, though, when it comes to the American military. Most of them, I would say that they don't think about going to war. They so secure with the position that America is in, they don't think that they ever going to go to war. But the war is coming, man.
Yeah, because even like what you're saying, hey, they expect you, to sign that contract, do their years, and then get out. They're using the different what you call it, the different bills and different benefits in order to try to so-called leverage themselves within the society, to get in and get out. But with you signing your name on that line, hey, you become property of the American military, man. So if hey, we always say, like she said, oh, I didn't come for war. Well, that's like saying a fireman didn't come to go fight fires, or a policeman didn't come to know that his life was going to be in danger, or that he had to be partake in a firefight, or a doctor didn't know that he was going to have to a surgeon didn't know he was going to have to perform surgery. Like, bro,
even the ones that try to get around it and try to go and be nurses or secretaries or cooks or whatever, you still susceptible to go to war too.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around. Like you said, you now become property of the American government.
Yeah, you're dispensable, man. Wherever they need you, that's where you're going. That's what it is. Hey, go ahead. We can go back into that.
It's Joel chapter 2 and verse 3. It says, "A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth."
Now, what is this talking about? It's talking about basically the description of the missiles, man. It says a fire devoureth before them. And how does that happen? Because what the strength of the missile is within the warhead, and the warhead is in the front of the missile, man. And it says a flame burneth behind them. That's the propulsion. See, bro.
It says the land is as the Garden of Eden before them.
It says a paradise, man. Because you brought up, hey, this land here, they dwell carelessly. You're able to get all your what do you say, your dainties, your meats,
Delicacies.
Yeah, your delicacies. You're at so-called peace here, man. This is your hey, really for Jake, a lot of Jake, this is their heaven.
What they call it, the land of milk and honey.
Yeah,
and that milk is now spoiled, and that honey has become bitter.
Kind. And even when we go into the book of I believe it may be Isaiah the 24th chapter.
I'm good for you.
Kind. Yeah. Isaiah 24, and you can start here at 10. Ooh. Dang. Bro, you can start at damn.
With the meat, bro.
Yeah, you can get to the point where you can start at 10.
Okay.
10 to 12.
Isaiah 24 and 10. The city of confusion is broken down.
Mm-hmm.
Every house is shut up, that no man may come in. There is a crying for wine in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone.
Yeah, so they're crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. Hey, because that's the spirit that America is coming into, man. Hey, when you go into the word America, going to that root word amar, or mar, it goes into the word bitter, man. Because though it's pulling up the facade as if, like you said, it's the land of milk and honey, that everything is good. It will deep down, this is a bitter place, man. This is still the place of our captivity. It says, what do you say? Where we at? 11. It says they're crying for wine in the streets, and we understand that's going to also be physical liquor as well, because you've had liquor shortages in America. For example, when the first lockdowns happened, a lot of people were basically offing themselves, because wine brings forth it eases a problem, man. Liquor eases basically like the symptoms of hell. It gives you comfort in a sense. But in a spiritual sense, scriptures also say there's going to be a famine of the word. Right. And we understand wine is the scriptures, man. So it's going to be a crying for wine in the streets, talking about scriptural for answers, because they're not going to be available, man. Scriptures talk about how the prophets, the tongue is going to cleave into the roof of their mouths, man. Continue, bro.
Verse 12. In the city is left desolation, and the gate is smitten with destruction.
Yeah, man, because it's going to be you're going to witness and be involved in these things, man. It's going, as they say, coming in a theater near you. And well, this destruction is coming to a city near you, man. It's going to come directly. It's going to directly affect you. And America not warning and not telling their people. I mean, even if they do, we still understand what's going to happen, because we're warning the people. The scriptures say we have to preach this gospel unto all nations, and then the end shall come. So Jake got to hear about the good news. the Lord is going to save a remnant of his people, you know. But we also telling the heathen, Esau, to his face, hey, America's going to go down, man, you know. So you got something you about to say?
I was gonna say, these Americans, they basically those frogs in that hot water.
Yeah, kind. Yeah, we can go back to that Joel 2.
Back to Joel 2 and 3. It says, I'm gonna start over. It says, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness.
Correct.
Yea, and nothing shall escape them.
Yeah, it says, and nothing shall escape them, man. I mean, they're all going to hit their mark. All destruction that the Lord wants is going to be completed, man. It's going to be completed in its perfection. Okay.
Continue on. Verse 4 says, the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses.
Right, and horses represent what, man? Power. Horses is power, man. This is the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses. And when you go back to ancient day war, you know, when, for example, we always bring up the shows like Game of Thrones, Last Kingdom. You know, if you're watching any medieval type of ancient battle combat series or a movie, what happens when first the armies meet, you know, head to head, or they may an army may be fighting a certain castle or trying to do a besiegement, and then you have an army that comes up behind them, and the first to go, you know, are the foot soldiers. But behind them, you know, you got archers, and then you have the horses, man. You know, and with the horses going into battle, you know, it shakes, it trembles the earth, man. You know, because the power that's where the stampede comes from, man. You know, stampedes bring forth power, you know, because it's motion throughout the earth, you know.
You feel it and you hear it.
Exactly. And on top of that, with the horses, you know, them being taller and more powerful in stature, you know, it's also a frightening sight as well. That's why I believe in New York, you know, you have a lot of police officers on those horses, because horses break up contention, man, due to their power. It could be a group of people fighting, and the police officer will ride next to the fight, and it'll break up all that shit. Because at the end of the day, don't nobody want to get ran over by no horse, you know. All right, keep on, bro.
Verse 5, it says, I'm gonna read verse 4 again. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the top of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people sit in battle array.
And that battle array is the formation of those missiles, man. You know,
before their face the people shall be much pain. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war.
And this isn't talking about, you know, actual soldiers, man. You know, as some, I believe, Israelite camp believes that this is talking about like troops. Nah, man, this isn't talking about troops. This is talking about thermonuclear missiles. Continue, bro.
It says, and they shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks.
Talking about the missiles, man. They're not going to bump into each other. You know, they're not going to explode into the air. You know, next thing, you know, they all explode.
Like I said, they're gonna be in formation,
bro. They're gonna be in formation.
Perfect formation. It says, neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded.
That's right.
They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the walls. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw.
Because it's gonna be they're gonna create that mushroom cloud, man. You know, and on top of that, all the destruction that happens. For example, when I think that was Beirut, when the strike hit that country, you know, all basically the shrapnel and the smoke and the dust of the buildings, everything went into the air, man. You know, just an example. You know,
that was just a little small.
And that was just one.
Yeah. And then for it to be multiple warheads, bro, that's why the scripture says it's gonna be a day of darkness and thick darkness.
Yeah, gloominess.
Continuing on, verse 11. And the Lord Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of the Lord Yahweh is great and very terrible. And who can abide it?
And who can abide it? That's really like a sarcastic question, man. Because you can't. If you're not meant to escape, then you're not. Can you grab a second Esdras, the 16th chapter? You know, because it's going into the day of destruction, man, the day of gloominess.
Start at the top.
Matter of fact, can you start at 7?
Second Ezra 16:7. May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer. The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence.
And the elder of our camp, Elder Kratazai, he said about the missiles bringing forth instant cremation, man. Now we understand, Yahweh Shemel Shai could slow down the process of the burning. Because scriptures say the eyes shall be consumed in the holes, the tongues in their mouth. But nevertheless, what the heat from those missiles are going to completely destroy you, man. It's going to evaporate you. You're gonna say something?
I was just gonna say, that made me think of how you ever opened the oven while it was in that wave of heat.
Like
that shit, that's minor,
right, bro. That's 350 degrees right there. Man. That's not talking about thousands upon thousands of degrees, man. And on top of that, when you take a look at the effects of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and when those bombs hit that place, it literally etched people's shadows into the ground, man. That's how hot that heat was. People's shadows were still there, man.
You was just walking one day, and then your shadow was on the wall, like you in the midst of walking.
Okay. Yeah.
You see the little dog right there. That's crazy if you think about it,
bro. That's power, man. Yeah. And that's what Yahweh Shemel Shai is bringing into this place, man. We can keep going. Let's get down to 13 and all that.
Verse 10. He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? Also, I already read it.
That's all good.
The earth quaketh, and the foundations thereof. The sea ariseth upon the waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also, before the Lord, and before the glory of his power. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world.
That's right. Can you read that again, bro?
It says, for strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow.
Those missiles.
His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the earth.
And that's how you know. And that's how you know it's not talking about a physical missile. I mean, a physical arrow. Because you can't shoot a physical arrow, into another end of a country, man. Hey, even if you stood on the edge of fucking Maine or something, man, you ain't hitting Russia, man. You couldn't hit the state next to it, man. Okay.
Continue on. It says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundations of the earth.
Yep.
Go ahead. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward.
That's right.
Even so, the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again.
Yeah. Did you have anything to say on this? No. It's basically just going into the impact that these missiles are going to have. Can we grab Revelation 9? I think 17. It may be before. It may be a scripture before it. So, yeah, you can start at 15.
It says Revelation 9 and 15. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000.
Yeah.
And I heard the number of them.
Which is going into, 200 million,
all with multiple warheads.
Yeah.
And thus I saw the horses in the vision.
Right, the same horses that were spoken of, in the book of Joel 2. Not representing actual horses, but representing the power of the missiles, man.
And them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone.
Right, and jacinth or jacinth, it's when you look at the actual stone, it's a reddish orange stone, man. So it's symbolizing, the flame, that's coming off the back of that missile, man. It says in brimstone, right? We understand brimstone was used in order to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. That's that sulfur, You know, those sulfur balls that Yahweh Shah was sending down upon a wicked Sodom and Gomorrah to destroy it, man. Hey, as the land is still uninhabited unto this day. Continue.
And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone.
Hey, it says, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. So it's basically using animals in order to characterize, you know, the power of these missiles. Because we understand the head of the lion is the most powerful part of the lion. And when you go into things like bite force, you know, the PSI, the pressure per square inch, and things of that sort. And well, a lion has one of the most powerful bite forces, you know, in the animal kingdom. You know, so if the scripture is talking about as the heads of horses were as the heads of lions, that's showing you that bite, you know, the power that missile was coming with, man.
Mm-hmm. Continuing on, this is verse 19. For their power is in their mouth.
They do read 18.
Oh yes, verse 18. By these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths.
Yep.
For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their, that's talking about the trail or the smoke, right?
Yep.
It says, for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt.
They do hurt, man. Hey, this is just showing you, hey, that scripture say the third woe cometh quickly, man. Hey, never in history has nuclear talk and World War III talk been as rampant as it is today, man. You know, this just shows you the vibration or the spirit that Yahweh Shah is sitting upon the earth, man. That it is destined to be, you know. Now, do we know, you know, exactly when, you know, missiles will be shot off? No, but we're judging by the prophecies. We understand the destruction of America is a big prophecy that has to happen, you know, such as a Revelation 13 and 16, man, you know, being the MOTB. But we understand the MOTB has to come, and after, you know, America is going to be, is going to receive of this end as the scripture speaks of, man, you know, and he's going to use Russia. He's going to use these neighboring countries in order to bend the bow, shoot upon this place. Even America's allies is going to get down, man, because it's all destined because the indignation of Yahweh Shemel was shot, man.
And that shows, like, just knowing the reward that's coming to this place, you really don't even have to know exactly what America did, knowing that the Lord is balanced and he's always just in his judgments. For America to, you know, be said to receive what it's about to receive, we understand that this place is exceedingly wicked, man.
Even when we go into Revelation 18 chapter, it tells us, hey, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High remembered her iniquities, man. Showing you that what? Hey, it's a just judgment, as you were saying, bro. It's just judgment. Hey, and the Lord is allowing it to reach a certain level, and as soon as it hits the level in which a wickedness is anger, because the scripture talks about it's smoke in their nose, man. Hey, as Jake is a smoke in Yahweh Shemel Shai's nose, hey, well, so is America, man. You know, and the wicked deeds of this place, man. So, hey, that's that, man. The third will come quickly. You have any closing remarks and precepts? No. Hey, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the body. And we want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakodash, and double honors unto the elders and apostles of GMS Great Millstone, and the sincere shalom to the Aki and bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. Shalom.